I have had a very, I'll say, interesting journey and walk with Christ. I grew up in St. Lambert's Parish, always knew who Jesus was. We went to church every Sunday, prayed before dinner, went to religious ed, but I never really knew Jesus. We didn't talk about him at home. My parents were Catholic, but we didn't talk about what that meant. And really, who is Jesus? What is Jesus? What does it mean to be a Christian? What does it mean to live your faith? And I went to World Youth Day as a freshman in high school. And it was the first time I really met God. I rode on a bus. I was the only person from my church that went. All alone, freaked out, in Indianapolis. And there was a girl on our trip whose grandpa passed away while we were out there. And I kept hearing in my head, write a letter, write her a letter, write her a letter. And I was like, what is this? I have no idea what this is. And I went in my room and I just started writing. Can't tell you what I wrote. Can't tell you what I said. And I went in her room and I said, I'm supposed to give this to you. I don't know what it says. I'm just supposed to give it to you. We got back on the bus to come home 4 days later, and she got up at the front of the bus and read my letter. And from there, the 6-hour trip home, everyone got up and testified their story of what had happened while we were in Indianapolis. I thought, awesome, I know who God is. This is great. Went through, got confirmed, went to college at Augustana, and got in a terrible relationship. I ended up getting in a relationship where I was abused physically, mentally, verbally, emotionally, and abused because of who I was and what I believed in. Because I believed in God and stood up for what I believed in. And apparently that wasn't okay for this person. And I went on to stay in this relationship for 7 years. And it took waking up with hands around my throat to realize that I couldn't do this anymore. And this wasn't where Jesus needed me to be. And I ran. And I ran to Omaha. And I stayed there for 9 years. And I ran there trying to find God and trying to find him back. And I went to every Catholic church I could find. And every experience was different. People would get up and leave in the middle of Mass. People would come in at any time of the day. I just didn't get anything out of it. I couldn't find God. And I would pray and I would pray and I would pray. And I couldn't figure out where my place was. And it took me more soul searching and more time. And I would try and figure out, where do I belong? What is my purpose? And I just couldn't find it. And I kept looking and I kept searching. And I'd go to church, but I'd go and be present and I wouldn't get anything. I'd just go through the motions. And I was a night shift nurse at the children's hospital down there. And so I didn't really interact with people during the day. I slept all day and worked all night. And about 4 years ago, I ended up needing to have knee surgery. And I couldn't live there and take care of myself independently. And so my parents live in Harrisburg. And I needed to move home with them to take care of myself. Then I started coming back home and coming to church. And started hearing more about Harrisburg building a church and having a church. And I thought, okay, I'm liking this idea. This is good. And at that time, Father John was at St. Lambert's. And so we started going back to St. Lambert's, and every Sunday he would say something, and I was like, yes, that's me. I'm doing that right now. I'm going through that right now. And it just kept happening, and it kept happening. And my dad looked at me one day and he said, you're going to meet Chris. You're going to fall in love. You're going to move home. You're going to get married. You're going to make babies. Life's going to be great. I said, who in the heck is this Chris guy? Because I've never heard of him. I've never seen him. I have no idea who he is. I went to college 2 blocks away from where he lived for 14 years. And my dad worked with him for 10 years. We met on a blind date, and after our first date, I said, I'm never going to see this guy again. Walked out, got in the car, I said, I'm never going to see this guy again. And 2 hours later, he texted me and he said, I hope you made it home okay. I hope everything's okay. And kept going to Mass, kept praying. I kept saying, God, I just need you to tell me what I'm supposed to do, because I don't know what my role is. I was in grad school. I wanted to come home, but I love my job, and I was stuck. And 2 weeks into my relationship with Chris, I said, that's the guy I'm going to marry. He didn't know it, but that's what I said. And we got together in February. I asked him to come to Easter Mass with me. He hadn't been to church in 10, 15 years. We went to Mass at St. Lambert's, and my dad kept looking down the pew, and I said, what are you doing? He says, I'm waiting for lightning to strike. Because I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. And thank God he's been by my side ever since. But I moved home 2 years ago after I finished grad school. And it all kind of started to call Harrisburg home with a Facebook post that the rectory needed dishes. And we were going to build a rectory, and I said, yep, we're going to do that. Okay, time to go to Target. And Chris said, what are you doing? I said, that's where I'm supposed to be. That's where we're supposed to go. God is calling us to Harrisburg. And I lived with my parents for a little bit, and I said, they go, well, we're going to church in St. Lambert's. And I said, that's fine. I'm going to Harrisburg because that's where I'm supposed to be. And my parents looked at me and they said, what? You're not coming with? And I said, no. I said, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to go. And every Sunday, Chris and I come to church in Harrisburg, and it's home. And if we miss Mass, I'm crabby and I'm grouchy until we come back, and then I get my cup filled. And there's amazing things that have happened to me in the 2.5 years that we've been coming here. I feel full. I feel like I have a purpose. I go to work and I see things differently. I'm a happier person. Our marriage isn't a normal marriage. We don't fight. We don't argue. We've been together 3 years. We've yet to raise our voices at each other. We talk about everything. And I emailed Father John and I said, an experience that I had a couple weeks ago, work was crazy. There was a patient dying, and there was all this other chaos around me, and I said, I just felt peace. That this is where I was supposed to be. We were supposed to take all the steps that we were taking. God was walking us through it, and it was going to be okay. And it was. The patient ended up being okay, but it was a peace I'd never felt before. It was a peace I'd never felt at work, a peace I'd never felt at home, and being able to bring all of that together and to know that I'm where he wants me to be and I'm doing what he wants me to do is an amazing feeling. And being able to walk this journey with St. John Paul II and with all of you is an incredible experience. And I thank God every day for what he's given us. So, thank you for letting me tell my story.